Hey class, in this video I'm going to show you how to set up your camera so you could take a long exposure of a store sign or some lit sign and zooming in on your zoom lens during the exposure. For something like this, you're going to want to set your shutter to at least around 5 seconds. Okay. Once you're set to 5 seconds, you're going to meter like you were metering before using the spot and partial meter. Find the brightest tone in the scene and adjust your f-stop accordingly until you get maybe a +1 overexposure of that light. And if you could also adjust your time, your shutter too, if you need to shoot longer to get that +1. But you want to get at least 5 seconds. Okay. And then when you press the shutter to take the picture, during the 5 seconds, you're going to slowly either zoom in or you're going to zoom out during the exposure. And then after the 5 seconds, if that was your exposure time, you will get something similar to this shot here if you were taking a picture of, let's say, like a neon sign. All right. So this was a shot. I believe it was indoors. The student had a neon sign in their bedroom. Feel free to create a scene like that. It's really effective if you have like maybe even an alarm clock or something with words on it, or if you want to venture outside, taking a picture of a storefront, a neon sign, any types of signage with letters, preferably that's backlit, would give you a really interesting effect. So I'm gonna go ahead and test this out. What you're looking at right now is my iPad. It's not so ideal for this particular example, but it's the best I could do for giving you a demo here indoors. So here's an exposure of the iPad at night. You know, lights are all off. The only thing that's lit is this iPad, and my exposure is set at 5 seconds, and I'm at 100 ISO, and I'm at f22. I'm closed down. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and that's the actual shot right now, properly exposed. And what I'm going to do is during the next shot I'll take, when I press the shutter, during the 5-second exposure, I'm going to move my lens barrel. I'm going to zoom out and you'll see what's going to happen here. So here we go. So during the 5 seconds of that exposure, I'm carefully zooming out of my zoom lens. Zooming out meaning I'm going to lower focal length numbers, and it's giving me this interesting effect. You can see that word marketplace, listen, read, all these words are kind of dragging in time, right? It's a pretty neat, really neat effect. And imagine what a storefront sign would look like if you did that. All right. So to do this, you're going to need a tripod or a stable surface and a zoom lens. A zoom lens is the lens that has multiple focal lengths. You know, for example, from SMC, you'll have an 18 millimeter to 55 range. It also comes with a second lens. I believe it's like 70 millimeter to 200 or something like that. All right. If you do not have a zoom lens, and if all you have is a prime lens, meaning you only have one focal length, I would still like for you to try this exercise out. You're going to need to physically move your camera forward or backward, and I'll keep in mind you're going to get some movement. It's not going to be a very straight line. That's okay, but I still want you to try this out to see what you could come up with, even if you don't have a zoom lens. All right. So that's shooting a long exposure at night with a zoom lens.